Southeastern.
You're on the air.
Welcome to today's broadcast of the IHSAA Women's Lacrosse, where the host Lady Millers are hosting Hamilton Southeastern Royals today here at the beautiful confines of Hare Chevrolet Field, nestled in Noblesville, Indiana, county seat of Hamilton County. Today's broadcast is presented by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating their 25th year in the business. We'd also like to thank our great sponsors: Logan Street Signs and Banners, Noblesville Trophies, Wofford Theater, Movies on the Road, Community Health, Church Hiddle and Atrim, Ivy Tech, Smith Jewelers, Mark Harbright, Bold and Sassy Salon, Indiana Restoration, and Yancey Fine Apparel and Tuxedo Rental. Today, you're joined on this broadcast by myself, Joe Morris, and I have the honor of having Coach Rob Green, Butler grad, Butler Bulldog. This is our second time doing this.
Hello, Joe. Hello, sports fans.
Yes, what a great opportunity to showcase today's event. We have two Final Four, 2016 Final Four matchup today. Last year at the state finals, Noblesville played in the Final Four against, at that time, HSC Fishers. And since that time, HSC Fishers has split their programs. So you've got the defending state champion, kinda versus the last year's 22-1 Lady Millers. This should be an exciting matchup today, I think. What do you think, Rob?
I have no idea. I have not seen HSC. It's so early in the season. I have no idea who they've played or how they've done. So it does not have a lot of the standout players that they had when they won the state championship last year. So I'm not really sure who they've got coming back. Not sure really what to expect tonight.
Well, I don't know either, but allegedly, when HSC and Fishers made the split to two separate club teams, those team members from last year's state championship team were given the option to stay together, and allegedly they chose to do so. So we could see a rematch of some of the same names and faces. But beyond that, I'm excited to talk about our Lady Millers.
Absolutely.
We got a great team.
We do have a great team. And we've got an outstanding class of seniors.
You know, you dragged me into this with open arms, and I'm glad you did 3 years ago. This is our third year as my family with Kylie Morris and Katie Morris, now a first-year player. But I had no idea what you had developed on the youth side with these kids, and I believe you've coached most of these kids, haven't you?
I have, yep. I've coached all of the girls that have experience out there. There are a few first-timers on the JV team that I haven't coached, but the vast majority of the girls standing over there on that sideline I've coached for many years.
So let's talk about those seniors right now. Let's talk about those. You know them very, very well. You've known them quite some time. Let's talk about the keys to today's game for the Lady Millers.
Well, there's so much depth and there's so much balance on this team that the scoring can come from anywhere at any time. The defense has been strong. They've been exposed a little bit on defense once in a while, but they're making some nice adjustments as they continue to progress through the year. Most of the defense is not senior, and so we've got some underclassmen playing defense, but they're very strong, very competitive. But it's really a lot of it starts on the offense, and it starts with we'll just start here down the list. Some of our seniors that are starters. We will see Hannah Potter. Hannah Potter committed to Central Michigan. When she played for me, was a tremendous defender. I've never seen a girl that could basically take over a game from the defensive end, and she would do it.
And she's fast.
She is fast. She's exceptionally strong. I mean, she decides to go to goal, she's going to goal. And so she has so much drive, so much determination. She is just a handful to deal with. Hannah Natvig. Hannah is always – we got a national anthem here.
Oh, as we take a moment to recognize the flag, the national anthem. All right. Well, that right there gives us the sign that's about ready to tip off. You were talking about some of these great seniors, and you mentioned the Potter girl. I believe last year she was honored as All-State, first-team All-State, and an All-American,
Yes.
along with Taylor Geisen, another Division I signee.
That's right. That's right. And Hannah is probably the strongest, most determined player, but Taylor Geisen is kind of like the glue. She's not strong. She's not aggressive, but she has got crazy good stick skills.
And fast.
Oh, fast and quick, but you don't ever see her coming. She can score just out of nowhere. She kind of blends in until she needs to do her business, and then she just will light up the scoreboard. It's amazing.
Also, when you look at that senior group, and Grace Newman, Ellie Palmer, they've all been together playing all these years, and they've done a good job together. One of the things that strikes me about Noblesville women's lacrosse is the synergy, just how good it is. And you know this, and I know this because our kids, and we've been around other sports. It's the most unique environment as far as I'm concerned in terms of top to bottom, synergy, chemistry. The kids all are so great. You look at your daughter, Kat Green. She's a starter. She's exceptional. You look at the addition of Mia Blackburn.
Yeah,
I remember her. Yeah, started as a freshman. I remember her on those schools or those teams we had together. We got Kylie involved, Kylie Morris. Exceptional player, and the list goes all the way down. And what I find awesome is that you watch, before we go here with this draw, how many multi-sport athletes we have on the field.
Yeah, I would say that. Majority.
Soccer and basketball, right?
Soccer, basketball. We've had some cheerleaders.
Taylor Geisen.
Gets it over there to Grace. Grace sees the field as well as anybody on the field.
There's Potter.
And then there's Potter. So I was talking about Hannah Natbig, again, one of the seniors and one of the core members of this team. She really, number 13, is, she used to be all offense, and she used to be solely focused on getting the goal. And the last 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, she has really developed into a great team player and a lot more defensively focused and really balanced out her game quite nicely.
Hannah Potter.
Another one of the
Do you need me tighter in on the shot?
this great class is Ellie Palmer. Ellie, again, is a gal that is not real strong, not real big, but has good stick skills, and she is just a tremendous shooter. She plays attack. And she can really light up the scoreboard if she gets on a roll. She can hit the corner, she can hit down low. She's a great scorer. And Rachel Bull on the other end is a defensive player. And really has come on from her senior year. She started last year. This year she is really, in many ways, the leader of the defense. So it's just such a great senior class. It's great to see them have all the success that they had. They had their record-setting year last year, undefeated high school season. This same group of seniors went undefeated and won the state championship their 8th grade year. So I know that expectations are high again this year.
I would say so. I mean, last year, coming into the tournament, I believe they were 20-0 or 21-0. And 20-0. That's pretty phenomenal. And they finished out 22-1, which is still great, right?
Yeah.
And so coming into this season, it was, I'm certain, a high level of expectation. But one thing I picked up on early with the coaching staff was this humble and hungry theme. Stay humble, stay hungry.
Well, and it's a big part of it because when you have success, Joe, as you know very well, sometimes you become your own worst competition when you stop playing to the best of your ability because you think that you can recover from this or you can recover from that. that, or this won't happen, that won't happen. You know, the one thing that I've learned over the years of coaching a lot of good teams is regardless of how good you are, it takes a little bit of luck to get to the top. I've had some teams that should have been state, and for one reason or another, didn't happen. And it easily happened to this team. If they don't stay hungry, they don't stay hungry.
That's right. That's right. You know, when you look at this HSE team, and I don't know the roster compared to last year, but with what they had coming back and what they did in their season, that regular season game against HSE Fishers was pretty tough, if you remember. And then they did well throughout the season as well. When you look at today, I'm anxious to see how they react to an undefeated Millers team that has really done well. I mean, they've been solid and strong. They had a couple challenges, like you said, but the scoreboard certainly didn't reflect that on the team play.
No, there are many times where once they kind of come out and assert themselves and build a lead, then the goal is to build this next sophomore class or some of these newer players that might be a little bit higher than the sophomore. But the coaches are doing a great job of development.
When you look throughout the whole varsity roster, I see a lot of 12s and 10s.
On the grade levels, yes.
Yeah.
So right behind this senior class is a really solid sophomore class. A lot of players, a lot of depth. They add a lot of what is out there on the field today. There's nice spin.
Nice move.
They're making a nice score.
Goal, number 13, Hannah Mackey.
It's great to see her really, having a great senior season.
It is. I remember her also on your team.
21 minutes left.
And it's fun to watch all these girls.
It is. You know, I remember back when I had this team, and it was the 8th grade year. I think it was actually about midway through their 8th grade year, and I was contacted of nominating some of our players for the All-Star game, and we were limited to 3. And it was probably one of the most agonizing decisions because I called and I asked for a special exemption to nominate, I think, 5. I said, I've got 5 players that absolutely deserve every bit of that win. And for me to pick 3 would be such a disservice to the 2 who really also deserve because they were every bit as good. And they would not grant me that. To this day, I remember that because it was such an unfair decision that I had to make. And Hannah that big was one of those players, and so was Anna Andres. She was a bowler back then. Man, was she good. And it was just, that was a tough situation. Again, it's a team sport, and it's kind of a shame sometimes when you have to call out and give recognition to single players in a team sport. But unfortunately, that's kind of the way our world works, and we have to kind of go along with traditions and the way things are done. But
Yeah, that's and it's what I've enjoyed about this, watching it as a fan and having kids in it now, is there's a place for just about every type of athlete. It reminds me of a sport that I know pretty well, football. There's a place for each type of athlete, but there's a lot of work that goes into it.
there is. We've got I talk all the time recruiting kids. They're always uncertain. They don't have the speed, and they see the running involved with the sport, and they're concerned that, well, I can't run like that. But the reality is if you look at some of the players, there are some players that are, they have different gifts. They don't have the gift of speed. Maybe they've got the gift of size and strength. Maybe they've got the gift of vision and anticipation. As long as you develop your stick skills, there is absolutely room on the lacrosse field at even a very high level for anyone that is committed to play this game.
Another shot at goal. HSC's hanging in there. I mean, we've had, 5, 6 shots on goal and scores 2-0. So far, it seems fairly balanced.
The goalie for HSE is hanging in, doing a nice job. I think, again, right now we're not varying our shot selection. So sometimes we can go like this, several shots in a row, and we just keep throwing to the same type of place. And goalies are like everybody else. They got strengths and weaknesses. There's a call that we see so often with a lot of our seniors. It's a shooting space violation.
Explain that.
When the girls are in, there's 2 arcs. There's the small arc, the 8-meter arc, where Taylor is lined up right now, and then there's the larger 12-meter arc behind her. Whenever you're inside the arcs, either one of them, if you're going to play defense on a girl that has the ball, you have to be within a stick length. And when you are more than a stick length out, what ends up happening is the girl can't shoot the ball. If there's a player between the ball and the goal, you can't shoot the ball. And so everybody would put all their players right there in front of the goal to shut it down. But for safety reasons, we're not allowed to do that. So they have this rule called shooting space, and that is if you're deeper away from the ball carrier, more than a stick length, you get called for shooting space violation. And then they put them up on the 8-meter, and then from there they get to take a free shot on goal.
I see. Okay, it looks like we got a timeout here. HSC calls time. We got the Lady Millers on the board, 3. HSC Royals, 0. Today's game, we have a special cause, and it's close to home. Today, we're focusing on a fundraiser, and that's the Ronald McDonald House. Each year, Noblesville lacrosse players and coaches choose a philanthropic project to assist, and this year our club chose to support the Ronald McDonald House. Last year, both our boys and girls team had a young family member suffer a serious medical condition, causing their family to need support from the Ronald McDonald House. So it was true to us as an organization, as a team. So throughout the stay, our families felt overwhelmed by the way they were given, the treatment they were given, and the care by this organization. So since then, these families have helped Noblesville Lacrosse plan and organize a way for our club to give back to the organization and help that helped our family so much, to reach out and help others in need as well. So today we did a fundraiser. It's going on right now to the Ronald McDonald House. We encourage all those watching today's broadcast to reach out to the Ronald McDonald House. It's a great organization. They provide supportive home away from home for families of children receiving medical care over at Riley Children's Hospital, at IU Health, and other area hospitals. Many families travel far from home and spend several weeks or months even to get treatment for their seriously ill or injured child. So for children facing a serious medical crisis, nothing seems scarier than not having a mom and dad close to them, right? So Ronald McDonald House provides for families so they can stay close by their hospitalized child at little or no cost. Ronald McDonald House. You ever been over there?
I haven't been to the Ronald McDonald House, but I have been to Riley Children's Hospital.
Yeah, two great places.
Have you been to the Ronald McDonald House?
Yeah, and I was actually quite surprised of the limited resources they actually get. You always see that change box there at McDonald's.
Right.
I go there, obviously, you can tell by looking at me more than you do. But allegedly, only 25 cents out of the dollar that goes in that box actually goes to a Ronald McDonald House.
Where's the rest go?
I guess overhead. And so they really depend heavily on donations, whether that be on preparing meals for the families or providing goods such as canned goods, cleaning supplies, food. So I encourage you, just like I know you do, Rob, support your Ronald McDonald House locally in downtown Indianapolis. And we appreciate your support.
Absolutely. I do know that some of the families had used it, like you mentioned. And man, just watching it from that distance, it's scary stuff.
It is, and I'll tell you what, knowing the Blackburn family, Mr. Blackburn, he wrestled at University of Indianapolis. He was there when I was there playing football, and to see him explain it was pretty touching to me during that parent meeting.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
And it impacted them in a big way. So we got this going again, HSC, moving on the offensive end.
look at that.
There's
There
good
we go.
defense.
Yep. The old interception, one of the best plays in lacrosse. It's about the only statistic that I actually rewarded the girls for, and still do, in the youth program, is interceptions. It is just such a game changer, emotionally.
Sure.
Somebody thinks they're making a pass or a shot, mostly a pass, and then a girl steps in, aware of what's going on, even if her girl doesn't have the ball, steps in front of the pass and snags it and goes the other direction. It just really shows an awareness. And Noblesville has had a great history, because we've made such a focus of that, of having a lot of players that do exceptionally well with intercepting passes.
Well, it's exciting to see it when it happens, for sure. And as we watched, as they got a call here, I don't know what the call was, but we're back into play. One thing that a lot of passing around, a lot of motion in the offense, setting up the play, and you see the defense. I noticed we do a lot of man, and I've seen some zone come out this season.
Mm-hmm. It's a new twist for the high school team. Coach worked a lot in the off season, kind of putting the concept together.
There's another defensive play, Hannah Potter. Mia
Nice.
Blackburn.
Nice push-up field. Mia using the left hand, and here's one of our underclassmen. Last year she didn't start. Last year she was on the JV, Kaylin Merton, and this year, just through determination, has worked her way into the starting lineup, or not the starting lineup, but onto the varsity team and getting a lot of playing time. She probably is the closest thing to Hannah Potter
There you go.
on the team that isn't Hannah Potter.
Mm-hmm. She's definitely aggressive and not shy and introverted.
That's right. That's right.
Which
So-
is good. I mean, that's a difference maker in many instances, what I've seen.
It is. And that's the thing, and Joe, you probably know this as well as anybody. When you look at great teams, regardless of the sport, you got to have so many different personalities. You've got to have the Hannah Potters or the Kayla Kubels. And again, Kayla Kubel, somebody who plays a very unique role on this team. A lot of times she will get behind the goal, and she's like the point guard. She's not a big scorer. She's a passer. And when the ball is so behind the goal, we call that X. I don't even know why it's called X, but when you get behind the ball or behind the goal with the ball, it's at X. And all of a sudden, then the defenders have to choose: are they going to watch their players who are behind them, or are they going to watch the ball that's behind the goal? And so a Kayla Kubel, very quiet girl. She will not really get into a scrum, but she has tremendous passing skills. She sees the field, and she can just become an assist machine, standing back there, just finding cutters coming through and making great passes for great shots. You need your clowns on the team, the ones who kind of, when things are getting a little,
Nice pass.
that's a great pass and leads to another shooting space violation. So the clowns on the team are the ones that kind of keep spirits high, and when things are getting a little too intense, kind of crack people up. You probably had some of that on some of your great teams.
It's important. Oh, shot rimmed out.
Call it hitting the pipe in this sport.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Another shot.
Shot and a goal.
Was that Kat Green?
I think it was.
Kat Green. She's fun to watch.
She was a little intimidated last year, but this year she's really coming on.
Yeah, you can tell.
I enjoy watching it.
Oh, well, naturally so. But she is a key to this team. And when you look at in the future, she's going to have a big responsibility with her experience and leadership. And I'm excited to see that, because what we have on the senior team, with the seniors on the team, and then what we will move forward with, it's going to be interesting to see. But for now, it's fun to watch.
It is.
It is. So we got the Millers on the board, 5, HSC 0. With 14:38 left in the first, our Lady Millers are forging ahead.
This is about the experience that we've had in about every game this season so far. Again, just the depth of this team. You can shut one player down, and there's 6 or 7 others that'll take the place of scoring, take the place of defense. They just so balanced.
Well, what's interesting to see, there's another
Zing.
Geisen,
I mean, that-
Potter to get Geisen. That's
That right there is textbook lacrosse. Be in the right place at the right time, find the open person, make a good pass, make a good catch.
it's kind of like basketball on grass a little bit, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lot like basketball. I mean, essentially what you saw there is you saw a fast break, right? Just like in basketball. When the ball comes down and you don't score in transition, then the defense gets set up, and then just like in basketball, it can be a grind to try to find an opening in a defense to get in and make a score. From a coaching standpoint, we really want about half of the goals to come through transition. When just like that, when we're getting down, the defense has not had a chance to get set up, and if you can get a quick score, it just happens so fast.
Well, our Lady Millers got 6 on the board. It's a good start. Defensively, because of our offense, we've been able to keep the ball on the good side of the field, right, from Miller's perspective. The passing around looks good. There's another great look.
Well, that's just great stick skills there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ellie Palmer was in the right place, but she was pretty well guarded, and the pass was just at the right place. A little bit of a difficult catch, but caught the ball, turned, and made a great shot.
So our Lady Millers 7, HSE Royals 0.
Pretty soon we're going to see the substitution start.
Well, and, let's talk about depth. One thing that I've noticed this year, we have a fully rostered junior varsity.
Yeah.
And at Chittard last week, I ran into an old college buddy. He was a golfer. He's John Duffy's his name. He's the athletic director of the CYO down there, and he's a Cena boy. And we were talking about it. His daughter's a freshman on the JV for Chittard, and he was very complimentary on how skilled our JV looked. And I, of course, was gracious in saying, hey, thank you, but wait till you see our varsity. Our JV is a lot of new faces. It has a lot of new faces on the team, a lot of first-timers, but that's the exciting thing about Lady Miller Lacrosse. It's kind of catching on. I don't know about the depths of the youth league, but at least what we've got going, we've got 2 fully rostered teams.
Well, Joe, for the first time ever, we've got 50 girls in the youth program now.
Wow, could have been 51.
It should have been 51. We have broken in, and this was a U.S. Lacrosse led, and then IYLA, Indiana Youth Lacrosse Association decision, which is a voting of all of the coaches throughout the programs to break into age-based teams. So we're now, instead of 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8 as we traditionally did in the youth lacrosse, we now do a U10 and U12 and U14. So we have 3 different teams.
There's a shot. HSC gets their first score on the board. A little breakdown there.
Board.
7-1 is the score. A little mix-up, it looked like, defensively.
Yep. That'll happen. We talk a lot about, and one of the other things that I'm very proud of in our program is you will not see coaches yell at the referees. You will not see the players back-talk the referees.
Nope.
And we start that at the youth level, and we talk to the parents and we talk to the kids. The referees are human, and they are going to make mistakes, just like every player out there is going to make a mistake, just like every coach out there is going to make a mistake. And so again, we just play with a humility that we're all human, and so we don't punish people for making bad calls. And the defense got a little mixed up there, and no sense in getting on them either.
Well, we got a 7-1 score, and we've just got the draw. And it seems to me, this is my 3rd year of actively watching this. The draw is everything in terms of momentum.
Absolutely.
I remember some games last year we just could not get the draw for nothing. The outcome was still in our favor, but it was a struggle.
Yeah, we have traditionally not been a very strong draw team, but we make up for it with other things. But it's all about possession of the ball, And if every time you're starting off without the ball, it just makes it that much more difficult. So there is a premium on the draw. Matter of fact,
this year seems like it's been in our favor.
A lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Another score, Millers.
So on that one, if you saw it, that's what we refer to as a quick stick. And so that is when somebody is right in front of the goal, somebody generally from behind the goal passes the ball, and they catch and shoot all in one motion. And so we call that the quick stick.
Well, that was Ellie Palmer, again, another senior, stepping up. And, you know, to your point about hard decisions, you know, you look at this senior group, with the year they've had thus far, with the experience they've had in the past, I can't imagine them, if not all, the majority of them, getting some accolades at the end of the season, just because they've been consistent year after year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the final was last year on the number of all-state members from our squad, but I know there was a number of them.
Well, I couldn't tell you. I honestly, I don't follow the state rankings. I don't follow who gets what national or state awards. And it's not for lack of deserving. It's just not something that I really follow. I look I'm more of a fundamentalist, so I'm looking at what they're doing on the field.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to admit, 22-1 will get some of those accolades.
It absolutely does.
So they were doing what they needed to on the field and being rewarded after the fact.
They sure were.
Nevertheless, the Millers look like they're holding on good here. We've got some stingy defense going on. There's an example right there.
Never like to see somebody get hit in the head, but it happens.
Well, there's certainly a difference between the men's lacrosse and the women's lacrosse in terms of protection and such, right?
And the game itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you last year. It was so funny that when I was first getting into coaching of lacrosse, it was on the boys' side, my son's team. Here goes Hannah Potter. Oh, so close. Now there's an interesting aspect of lacrosse there. So when Hannah Potter shot the ball and it didn't go in the goal and it went out of bounds, the team to get the ball is the team that's closest to the ball when it goes across the out of bounds line.
Unlike any other sport whose hand was off last or
Right.
foot off last,
Yep.
it's who's closest to the ball as it goes out of bounds.
On a shot.
On a shot.
Now a pass is like everything else. If you
Okay.
pass the ball and it goes out of bounds, then it's the other team's ball. So the referees obviously are trying to make that distinction between a shot and a pass. But getting back to the difference in the game,
Another goal.
Hannah Potter.
Hannah Potter.
Is so I started with the boys, and my daughter actually, Kat, who's out there on the field, she started on the boys lacrosse team, and she had all the gear and the helmet, and she actually was excited about hitting people, right? And so there were some other girls that kind of wanted to play, and one of the moms came to me and asked me if I would start a girls youth team. And reluctantly I said, well, you know, I got a daughter, so sure, I guess I'll try that. And how different can it be? And so the first thing I did is I went to a referee training course. And the game is so different, Joe, that everything that I taught in boys was illegal in girls. I could not. I walked out of there, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to possibly coach this. It's such a different game.
Well, hence why they wear the gear they wear in the men's programs versus the women's, right?
Oh, yeah. So the guys, you know, and especially in Midwest lacrosse, there is a premium on rough and tumble. You know, in our Midwest here, our boys lacrosse typically is about, you know, hit them and hit them hard. And the girls, there's no protection. All they wear is a pair of goggles. That's the only really protection that they have.
Mouth guard, goggles,
Well,
that's
mouth
it.
guard, right? Yeah. And so they don't wear any helmet, they don't wear any gloves, they don't wear any shoulder pads or arm pads or leg pads, except for the goalies. And so the game is all about finesse. It's all about moving the ball through the air, finding those openings. So it's really a neat game to watch when the girls get good at it. like these girls. Any
There's-
girl playing high school lacrosse.
Sure. There's Hannah Potter.
Oh,
I mean, that's
my.
just take it to the
That's
net.
a breakdown in defense, unfortunately. I mean,
Miller's 10, HSC 1. This is a big difference compared to last year's matchup with HSC Fishers.
well,
If
it
you
is.
remember, I think there
Yeah.
was multiple overtimes.
Yeah, so it was cold,
Mm-hmm.
but this is not the same team. There is a group of HSE girls that was kind of similar to our seniors this year. Had a tremendous amount of success as they walked through high school together, and I've mentioned to several parents, and not everybody agrees with me by any stretch, but I was actually very happy for the HSE girls to be able to stay together and to win the state that they had to earn. It wasn't given to them. And I thought it would have been a tragedy to see those girls go that far, get that close, and then be split apart at the very end, right when they should have been competing for their state championship.
You're talking about last year.
Last year's HSE girls. So, to me, I was glad to see that. I would have loved to beat them. I think that would have been tremendous for us. Because if they'd have split them up and we beat them, all we'd ever thought about was, I wonder
Was there the idea of doing that mid-season?
No,
Or you
the
see-
idea's been around for a long time.
Okay, I see what you're
because
saying.
The size of the school is so
HSC
big.
on the run here.
It would be, they're practically Carmel size now, that school system, and so for them to have that many girls, it's just tough to compete with. And then when they're actually playing out of two different high schools, a lot of people are like, why do they get a combined schools of that size? When HSE Fishers was all just HSE, and they split. They still were two of the biggest schools in the biggest school division, even when they split.
Yeah.
So
HSC with the shot on goal, and they are successful.
they convert.
Yep. So we've got a score Miller's 10, HSC 2. So another breakdown on the Miller's defense, but nothing to be excited about.
No, our defense is playing well enough to keep the spread. They aren't playing perfect, but they're playing well enough right now.
Yeah. This is exciting to be able to broadcast this on TV. We here have the Hometown Television, Web Network, and Hamilton County Television. You can watch Hamilton County TV live or on demand on your smart TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, phone, plus any device with the YouTube app. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.hctvyoutube, that's hctvyouTube.com. We'll be back here next Saturday, May 6th, for a doubleheader for the Lady Millers and the men's team, Millers versus Westfield. That should be a fun day of lacrosse for men's and women's lacrosse here in Noblesville.
Well, I want to go back there for a second. You mentioned
Shot on
just another
goal.
great shot there. That one again by Kat Green.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned how much fun this is, and
Yeah.
I know you enjoy it. I love it. I think it's great. But I got to tell you what an asset that we have here in our hometown
Absolutely.
television network. This guy has been around Noblesville, I think, forever. And, man, it's just such a great community asset to have a guy that's willing to come out and do programs like this and support our high school teams and all of the other. He does so many things that I couldn't even begin to scratch. I know that they've had movies that they've played on Saturdays.
Well, here's the list.
Or
Logan
Fridays, I
Street
guess.
signing banners.
Yeah.
Noblesville trophies. Wofford Theater, movies on the road.
That's what I was talking about.
Sure. Then you throw in Yancey's Fine Apparel and Tuxedo Rentals, right there located in the same location of Logan Street signing banners. You've got the Noblesville trophies. I mean, they've done a lot for our community. Another shot by the Millers, successful. Not only for our community, but for all of our youth teams,
Yeah.
all of our local business. And then they took this live streaming to the next level. I see them at the Millers basketball games. They're at football games, baseball.
We're streaming this today on Facebook also.
And we're streaming this on Facebook also.
Of course
Let's get a
we
bunch
are.
of flying thumbs up, and
Yeah.
hearts and
Yeah.
anything else. We need about 1 million likes, This could be our debut, Rob.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get too many offers, but I sure enjoy it, and I
All your Facebook friends.
sure appreciate these guys and all that they do. 25 years of this. And just, I remember them back when I first moved here, and they played all those Sammy Terry shows. And
Sure.
it's been a great asset for so long. And can't imagine Noblesville without it. I hope we never have to see that day. Now we're seeing the girls move the ball, and this is what I like to see when they kind of go through some ball control and move it around. And, you'll see the cutter go through once in a while. And now this can be a stall tactic.
Well, with 6:50 left, they could be just trying to run out the half.
Yeah, I don't know if they're quite ready for that. Maybe that's what they're doing, but they'll certainly be a little bit more deliberate here. What we've seen to this point is a lot of one-on-one going to the goal, and then we've seen a lot of quick stick. What we haven't seen a lot of is actually spreading out the offense, seeing cutters go through and getting a catch and a pass in the middle, and that's another aspect of the game that you need. You need a variety of different ways to score throughout a season. You don't want to become too predictable.
Well, to your point, the game itself, for those that aren't familiar with it or watching today, to get an idea to follow your team or maybe a family member or a friend, there's a lot to learn, but it's helpful. Get around it. I've got the fortune of having you here next to me because you know the ins and outs of it. Me, I just like to talk. So I get the best of both. I get to learn while I'm sitting next to you, Rob, but I also get a chance to be enthusiastic about something that's I'm passionate about. That's youth sports. Nothing better than being involved in your local school program, whatever that is, or your local activity in school. I always like to see the kids compete. And compete in a way that's, respectable. Like you said about sportsmanship, class, no complaining, just getting your work done.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
So that was one of our sophomores.
I thought it was a nice play. Smart.
Yeah.
Was that Aaron?
It was Aaron. And Aaron is another one of those girls that just sees and anticipates so well. And so she saw exactly where that thing was going, and
Aaron
actually was falling down and still got the almost interception, got the knockdown, turned into a turnover. And just you can just see how relentless the Millers are. 4 girls there around the ball.
Ball out of bounds. I guess that'd be HSC's ball as a pass. I learned something today.
Yep.
Well, as we said, follow Hamilton County TV on Twitter at hctelevision.com. Like us on Facebook, Hamilton County TV. Hamilton County Television is also available on Apple TV. You can download the IHSA TV app on demand and live at the App Store. Check out our sports calendar for other games at www.httv1.com. But like us on Facebook. There seems a lot of traffic on social media, Facebook, Twitter. And, of course, if you're streaming this live now, watching it as we are streaming it to you, you're watching the Lady Millers host the Hamilton Southeastern Royals in today's matchup.
Our youth program has also a Facebook page. And
what's that?
It is Noblesville Youth Lacrosse, or Noblesville Girls Youth Lacrosse on Facebook. And we use that page to communicate with our community. And we post a lot. This summer we're going to run some clinics, free clinics, where we'll just kind of play pickup games and do some instructional for players that have never played before. And it's just a good way to come out and see if your kid likes the game and not have to spend all the money associated with the travel.
That's awesome. Well, I encourage every kid looking for a place to be in the spring. I know there's other opportunities in the other seasons.
Now, Joe, here's something that you can appreciate is watch as the girls throw and watch how they catch in one hand and switch in the other. You should always catch closest with the hand closest to the ball and then switch.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, a lot of these girls, you see them catching and switching hands so they can catch and throw right and left. Most of them. And that's the sign of a really mature lacrosse team, when you can kind of do that. A lot of people don't notice that. Yeah, this is a little bit of sportsmanship. So the coaches, when the score starts to get a little carried away, they'll kind of slow it down with some kind of ball control. Again, just a way to keep from running the score up. Nobody wants to be part of a bad situation. But you also don't want them to keep playing. And so just like that, occasionally they'll still take the ball in and try to get a shot. The score here, Joe, at 12-2 is a 10-game differential. And when that happens, the clock goes into a non-stop mode. Basically, just a running clock.
Is that a points thing?
Yeah, it's a 10-point differential. So we've kind of reached that point now where for the rest of the game, unless that spread narrows, which it doesn't look like it will, the clock will just continue to run even after a goal. You know, here they're going to have to get set up for
with a minute left.
Draw. Mm-hmm. And now we see the girls going through the stands here, collecting for the Ronald McDonald House.
Well, I saw all the stuff coming in, people bringing goods in.
Yeah, they had to set up more boxes, I heard.
That's excellent. That's great.
That is nice. Got a good crowd. Such a unusual lacrosse weather, right?
Yeah, say that now. I can remember being over at Warren Central in the Penn game. I wouldn't have said that.
Right.
It was
right.
like the opposite.
Yeah.
Cold.
Cold, windy, rainy. It's always something. So this is just a beautiful lacrosse night.
I ended up leaving that game, ran over to the local Walmart, almost bought me some Carhartts. And then when I thought, how often will I wear these things?
I actually did that last year.
And I left. The very next week, I wish I had those Carhartts.
Yeah, I finally broke down and went, and we were at a really cold game, and I bought them. And I've worn them a few times.
All right, at the half, we got the Lady Millers 13, HSC Royals 2. Again, we want to welcome you to today's broadcast of the IHSA Women's Lacrosse host Noblesville Millers versus the Hamilton Southeastern Royals here at Hare Chevrolet Field in Noblesville, Indiana. We've got a great day of lacrosse. Today's broadcast is being presented by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrate their 25th year in business. We'd also like to thank our great sponsors, Noblesville Trophies, Wofford Theater, Movies on the Road in Noblesville, Community Health, Church Hill and Atrim, Ivy Tech, Smith Jewelers, Mark Harbright, Bold and Sassy Salon, Indiana Restoration, and Yancey's Fine Apparel and Tuxedo Rental. So today we've got a score of 13-2. We're at the half. Today we're celebrating a fundraiser, and that's for the Ronald McDonald House. And we encourage you to lend your support or make your donations to the Ronald McDonald House to help those families in need while their children are being treated at Riley's Children's Hospital and IU Health. Today's sponsors also would like to thank Hometown Television and Hamilton County Television for making this live broadcast possible. Many of the Miller games and many other Hamilton County area schools benefit from this broadcast and many other broadcasts throughout the season. So what do you think? What do you think this looks like so far in the first half? How would you break it down? Rob Green, what would you say about the first half here today?
If I was which coach?
Well, let's start with your perspective, and then we'll go into Noblesville's coach and HSC's. What do you think overall as far as the quality of play and the overall effort?
Gosh, it's hard to fault an effort when you have a positive spread like that. It's obviously that they are going out and they are executing on what they know how to do. You know, I've seen so many of these games this year where they've raced out to these large leads, and it's because of the hours and hours and hours of practice that they've put in on their passing and catching, their shooting, their moves, their defense, their teamwork. I mean, this isn't something that just they're going out and doing it without putting in the effort. They have spent so many years preparing for this.
So if you're the Lady Millers coach, what are you saying to your team right now at half?
I always talk about, it doesn't matter how you start a game. It's how you finish a game. And my biggest concern when we get up on a lead like this is that we start to get sloppy. We start to get unmotivated, and that can become cancerous and become a disease.
I see that whenever they start bringing in some reserves, and when the reserves come in, and I'll use an example. Let's say it's the Chittard game, or when we're down at Bloomington South or in Kentucky, and you're playing stall ball for 18 minutes, and you got a group of reserves in mixed with the starters. And I watch a couple particular players that I know fairly well, and I watch the effort. And sometimes it's easy just to coast because you got this great lead when you're coming off the bench. But wouldn't you agree that that's your opportunity to work on your skills, that's your opportunity to work on your plays and be aggressive and take risks?
Oh, absolutely.
Because of that, because of what your starters, the position you put your team in, to now you can come off the bench and now you can go out there and work on your game, take some risks possibly, but to build confidence. That's the idea, to build the confidence to work on your game.
The difficulty really of that situation, though, is when the coaches have kind of called off the scoring. It puts these younger players at a disadvantage.
I agree.
Because they don't have a cause, right? They're out there and they're doing things, but they're not doing. One of the things I coach my youth teams on is that lacrosse has two objectives: score goals and prevent goals. And when you're not out there with an intention of scoring a goal, it all of a sudden kind of falls apart. And now you're like really thinking about what you're doing as far as, am I keeping the ball away from them? Am I moving the ball around the outside? And really it's all about attacking the goal.
And, not to go against the team theme, right? Not going against the coach's orders.
Right.
But it just seems to me that if you put a kid in a passive position, offensively speaking, it's kind of a.
It's hard.
It is.
And I'll tell you what else is really hard. This is the interesting thing is the coaching in a situation like this where you have a team this talented is so difficult.
It's got to be.
Because the pressure of winning is so great, the expectations are so high that what else can you do but run the score up and make sure you got the game in hand? In a perfect world, what a coach would do is actually start the underclassmen and even take a risk of getting behind by 5, 6, 7 goals.
That'd be
and
an
then put the
interesting
pressure on the senior class or the upperclassmen, the starters, to come back and overcome. But you've got such a, imagine the parent uproar if you actually lost a game because of that, right?
Well, that's why they call it gambling, right?
Well,
but at the same time, no, there's a reason for it. And if we talk about Noblesville and we look back at last year, of the worst times to not play your A game, I think it happened in the Final Four. Now, that was bound to happen. A lot of people would like to say, well, if you're going to lose, I'd rather lose early in the season. I don't know, man. You try to tell that to a coach that's gone undefeated. I won't mention the general's name, but you think he'd want to lose a game versus have an opportunity to go undefeated? I mean, just going 20-0, that's special in itself. But if you could win it all outright.
So go back to the undefeated Colts team. Do you remember when they were going for that, and there was the big decision on do we keep the starters in and risk getting them hurt and give up the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Or do we go for the undefeated season and the Super Bowl? And the decision that they made was let's sit the starters. Let's make sure that we preserve the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they gave up a chance of something that is so rare.
One
right?
time.
One time. This team here has a chance to go undefeated and win the state championship, just like they did their 8th grade year. And there's not a lot of teams, if any, that have done it. I don't know the history of girls lacrosse in the state of Indiana, but that's a special deal.
It is. I'm
And
all
so
for it.
It's something that you
So
have to go for.
If you're HSC at the half and you're a coach, what are you saying to your kids?
Forget the score. Forget the score, and I set goals. And I usually set the goals with, trying to make sure that they don't score more than I'd pick a number. Not going to score more than 5 goals in this half. So now you're going to cut it down in half or more. And then it's on ground balls. Every time the ground ball or the ball hits the ground, can we get it rather than them get it? So you're going mostly for effort, right? Because the biggest concern that you have at a coach in the situation when you're down 11 goals at halftime in a game like this is that your team loses heart, loses spirit. And so you got to set little goals that you think that is a stretch goal, but still enough to keep them in the game.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, we're going to start this second half. We got our Lady Millers leading 13-2. Let's see what they came up with at the half.
Nice snag out of the air by Taylor Geisen. I will tell you, we don't really have any players after she leaves that can actually snag the ball out of the air the same way she does. That girl has got the strongest hands and wrists to be able to extend her stick with her hand at the very bottom of the stick, and she handles that stick as if it's part of her arm. It is really
it's impressive. And I don't know if that's strength, if that's confidence, if that's just experience, but I love watching it. Because when she picks one off or catches a pass and runs downfield like that, it's awesome.
It is. Trying to figure out here, did Hannah score off of an assist from Mia or the other way around? Kind of missed it. There's another aspect to the game and the score that I think a lot of people don't know, and that is that there's an organization called Max Lax. Is that right? I'm not sure that's the name of it.
Nylax?
No. Nylax is Noblesville Youth Lacrosse. Okay. Max Lax is actually, I think, the Balix program over in at the new Westfield facility.
Okay.
Which is a great indoor off-season program. But there is I think maybe it's Max Power. I think that's what the name of it is, Max Power. And what Max Power does is Max Power looks at all of the lacrosse, boys and girls throughout the state, and they estimate how many goals that you should win by. It used to be that you needed to win by that many goals or more to get points towards your team ranking in the state. And the team rankings are important only really at the end of the season when they're doing the seeding for the tournament. This year, I believe, is the first year that now you got to get in a window. You've got to win by so many goals, but you also have to not win by too many goals. And that's the first time that we've had that. And so I think that that's a good thing when you're trying to at least not encourage teams to run up the score. But
where we are, it's 15-2 already.
Yeah, and we still got our starters out on the field. So again, as I sit and that's kind of what made me think of that is our starters are still on the field with this kind of a lead. So what I don't know is what the Max Power assessment says that we should win this by. If they tell us that we got to win this by 15 goals.
And this is all about the rankings, isn't it?
All about the rankings.
It's interesting because I was looking at the rankings last week while I was at the Chittard game, and you look at the points, to your point, and we were still ranked behind a couple teams. But you look at the total points scored versus allowed, it didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, none of those systems are a perfect system, and I don't, again, watch it very closely. But a lot of times it just is based on history, right? I'm not sure that the max power people are from Indiana. And so, a game like this against HSE, I would have thought, if we won by 3, that would probably be maybe the maximum amount, because they probably don't know that so many of the players from HSE had moved on to college and actually playing in college, Division I college.
How many did they lose?
I think they lost at least 4 or 5.
And they're playing at the next level?
A lot of them are, if
Good.
not all of them.
Good.
Yep. So they've had a lot of success. And
Out of the, well, we know Hamilton County, right? That's our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look around the state, the number of programs that have started and continue on, is it 32 programs now?
I think it is, yes.
But Evansville has started. More schools added. I saw that on the state roster, so to speak, of the programs. Evansville's bringing it on. And interesting enough, a girl last year from Evansville, I think it was North, was the first female athlete out of the Evansville metro area to get a college scholarship for lacrosse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was great.
It is.
Because it's still fairly new down there. You got Castle and you got North and Wrights and a couple other programs, but it's certainly a growing sport. You hear a lot of buzz about it. I noticed in Indiana, your alma mater added lacrosse this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mine added it last year. Notre Dame, I believe Indiana Wesleyan now, Indiana Tech, Hanover, and I could be leaving a couple out. But you're starting to see more and more at the university college level add programs.
And what a great opportunity is for girls, because they're adding programs so quickly that if a girl wants to play college lacrosse, she can play college lacrosse. If she just
look at that,
that's
what you're
exactly what I'm
explaining.
talking about. Is the ability to just stick out that far, holding it at the bottom of the stick, catch a ball like that is just.
And that's why she signed
special.
to Cincinnati.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So we got 2 girls that have signed. Potter's going to Central Michigan. Geison's going to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Any other future signees you think?
Again,
Another goal.
Any girl
Taylor Geison
on this team that wants to play college can. Now, again, that there are a lot of different levels.
Sure.
But they can absolutely go out and find an opportunity to play.
Miller's 16, HSC 2. Well, that would be the same probably at HSC, Fishers, Carmel, Westfield. I don't know the depth or the talent level they have, but I will say this, Lady Miller's team, they are loaded.
They are. They're special. Great group of girls. We've got an 8th grade 7-8 team right now, and on that 7-8 team I have 18 8th graders ready to come up.
How did you pull that coup off?
Well,
How many different sports did you raid?
Have you heard the name Stephanie Potter?
Yeah.
Well, she started a recruiting effort that resulted in that kind of outcome.
That's Hannah's sister.
Stephanie Potter is Hannah's mom.
Oh.
Yeah. And Stephanie Potter, I cannot tell you how much she has meant to Noblesville Lacrosse, top to bottom. Youth, high school, boys, girls. She has been so influential in helping us develop our relationship with the Noblesville school system, with helping with fields and facilities. She is just tireless in her efforts to support the coaches and the programs.
That's great to hear because she's so sweet and nice.
Ah.
I just really got to know her this year, and what a gem.
The whole family is just so great. And they, when you talk about families that give back, they've gotten a lot out of lacrosse. Hannah's used to be a soccer player, but always stayed with lacrosse, and now she can go play college lacrosse. They've got Emma Potter, who's now in the youth program, one of these 8th graders that's getting ready to move up. is just a tremendous player, and but they just, as much as they've gotten out of Noblesville Lacrosse, they give back in spades.
Well, that's the thing about our program at Noblesville, and the same could be said at these other programs. The countless hours and the time these parents and volunteers put in, preseason work and the off season, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
During the season with setup and concessions and ticket booths and PA announcement. There's a lot of people in this village helping out, that's for sure.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot to have a quality program. And I don't mean just quality in terms of what you're seeing on the field. What you're seeing on the field is the result of a lot of community effort, a lot of parent involvement. This program is so healthy because the parents who are in it are such supporters.
There was a shot on goal, good defense, but nice shot by HSC.
Stephanie's the winner, always reaches out to get me up here.
Is she? Yeah. Yep, Stephanie just does it all. She's such a gem for this program.
Did they give her a contract extension?
I think she's got a lifetime contract.
Good. Another force
Did you see
there.
that goalie clear
Yeah.
over the top of the defenders right
Yeah.
into the stick of the offense?
There's another Geisen snag.
Yeah. So let's talk about this goalie, Meredith Hayes.
Tell me about her, because we lost our goalie last year to graduation.
And she's playing college lacrosse, and she was really she had a tremendous senior year. The difference in her game from her junior year to senior year was night and day, but again, came through hard work. Meredith Hayes is another story so similar. That girl has worked and worked and worked and has really developed into a great goalie. And here she is in her junior year, so we get her another year.
Good, we'll need it.
And she has really developed her game.
What a tough position.
It's the toughest on the field by multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, it just when you're a goalie, you feel personally responsible for every ball that goes in your net. And the reality is it's mostly the defense. If the closer they get to your goalie circle, the more likely it is that they are going to score and should score. If they're standing on the circle, the goalie really shouldn't be able to stop that. And so, when a goalie can have a save percentage of around 50%, that is a good goalie. And then when they can clear, like this girl now can clear, and she didn't always just be able to do that.
Another shot. Ooh, to the head.
Well, now this is the other side of coaching a game like this, right? And this is the same thing the Colts faced, right? Is so when a team is so out of it and they get frustrated and they're tired and they just get frustrated, they just, everybody gets a little chippy.
Sure.
It's not just HSE. It's every team the Colts would play when they'd get up. And so how long do you keep your starters in? How long do you risk that chippy environment?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
So what's the play? What's the call here?
I've got
in.
I've got a post here that I can't hardly see past, so I really didn't see what's going on. I can tell you
Looked like she got hit going in.
Yep.
Another goal.
They didn't yellow card anybody, so that means she didn't get hit in the head, and nor did she follow through on a dangerous propel. If a girl is shooting the ball and she follows through and hits somebody with her stick as she's shooting, if she scores, the goal is waved off, and she's sent to the box for 2 minutes with a yellow card. They didn't have one of those, so it wasn't that. So it probably was a shooting space violation. That's usually about 80% of the time. That's what they call when they take a goal away or stop a goal.
Well, it's 17-2. Can't say I knew what to expect. I don't know if you did, but we've got a score of 17-2 Millers.
Well, all I can tell you is I think the coaches are sending a message of some sort to somebody.
It looks like it, and that's good. That's good for our kids. That's good for the program. But moving forward, I noticed on the schedule this year we had fewer games on the schedule this year. I don't know if that was by design or just by scheduling, but it seemed like there were a couple teams that didn't want to schedule this season.
I have heard that. I wasn't aware that we had less games,
Why
but
did they have that type of a start for the draw? The player was like 8 feet away.
oh, so usually did they start it that way from the very beginning, or did they?
Walked up and then she walked.
Yeah. So what happened is somebody did something illegal on the draw, and so they awarded it to the other team. So it could have been that she moved early or something like that.
That's for us non-lacrosse people. That's why.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good question. There's another shooting space violation.
Well, then that means you're zooming into. Yeah, zoom out a little bit more. Like
So here we are. This is where, to your point earlier, about clearing the bench a little bit, working some kids in, being aggressive. Here we score again. It's Miller's 18, HSC 2. The thing that I see different this year as opposed to last year or versus last year is it seems like we have more control of the game. And we've played some quality teams thus far. We've got still some left on the schedule for sure. But it just seems like there's a different, and I think it comes back to as you were going over the seniors and the sophomores and those couple juniors, we've got some experience this year that we didn't really have last year to back up the experience we had last year.
Right. We're just so much deeper. I mean, if you look at, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sophomores that are now playing more like upperclassmen.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they played like freshmen because they were freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how good you are, that making the transition from a youth program to a high school program is difficult. And we had some freshmen out there starting last year, and they played like freshmen. They played a little intimidated. They played a little reserved. And this year they're playing like upperclassmen, and the depth is just nobody else is really as deep as we are.
Nice defense.
That goalie just took a steal because that girl was right on the goalie circle. And so that's what we call a steal for the goalie, because she shouldn't have done that. I'm going to, since, it gets kind of hard to call a game like this, Joe. And
I can do all the commercials you want to hear.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people to thank.
Here's what I thought I might
think.
do is just kind of go through the list, and let's talk about some of the upcoming sophomores that are going to kind of inherit this program. So first on the list is Lauren Chatterton, number 2. She is a sophomore, and she has blazing speed. Lauren Chatterton is got so much speed, so much potential.
Again. It's like she plays with that ball.
Yeah.
Nice. That was Kat Green.
How much time
I like how she scooped that up.
What's that?
How much time do they have between the varsity and JV game?
I think like 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, we'll go off the air, then we'll come back on the air for JV game.
Gotcha. So again, just a shooting space violation. When you have a breakaway player going down the middle, the natural reaction from the defense is just slide over and try to prevent the shot. But if they don't come on an angle and then wait until they're within a stick length to get in front of the ball carrier, it's a shooting space, dangerous situation. And so, but then when you get strong shooters like we've got in position, sometimes you can have penalties 2 and 3 in a row.
HSC is a little stingy on their defense right now. But we're going to try a few things, it looks like.
So we're doing the, the keep the ball on the outside, and we've got cutters going through, and this is where it's difficult to find those openings to get a score. You know, they're playing actually pretty good D.
Nice. That's hard to defend.
It's really hard to stop that. Was that a?
That was Taylor Geisen.
I thought it was, yeah.
Just,
I mean,
bullet.
yeah. Her shot, just everything about her game is just so solid.
This is one of those situations that, regardless of who the team is, I'd like to see the team pull in the reserves and tell them be aggressive. Work on your skills. Work on some risk taking. Looks like there's a timeout on the field by HSC. Hey, let's get some advertisements. What do you say?
I think it's a good idea.
Hey, we got a prom special at Yancey's Fine Apparel and Tuxedo Rentals. Best prices around from $110 to $115, includes everything. Located inside at Logan Street, Signs and Banners. Yancey's Apparel, doing business in Noblesville for over 40 years. Located inside of Logan Street, Sign and Banners. Enter the north side of the door. You can call Dan at 317-773-2973. Noblesville Sign and Banners, celebrating 25 years. They specialize in last-minute signage and banners, serving Noblesville and Hamilton County since 1992. You can contact them at 317-773-7200 or visit their new website at www.loganstreetsigns.com. You can also follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Noblesville Trophies. Noblesville Trophies can be found on the web at www.noblesvilletrophies.com. They offer a large range of products, including sports trophies, corporate awards, and in-house embroidery. Noblesville Trophies provides you with the same-day service for those last-minute decisions. Contact them at 317-773-7391 or check them out on the web at www.noblesvilletrophies.com. You can follow them on Facebook and Twitter. The Wofford Theater. Free movies at the Witten Park in Fishers, presented by Saxony. May 20th, Finding Dory. June 3rd, Moana. And June 17th, Sing. Free classic movie events at Forest Park in Noblesville. Fridays, June 2nd through August 4th. Movies include Patch Adams, Philadelphia Story, August Rush, Funny Face, Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. And that is only June. The night of Noblesville Street Dance at the Federal Hero, Noblesville, on July 8th. There'll be movies available. Sponsored by Logan Street Sign and Banners, Noblesville Trophies, and Hamilton County TV. Complete lineup at www.woffordtheater.com. Ivy Tech Community College. Ivy Tech prepares Indiana residents to learn, live, and work in a diverse and competitive environment. To answer any questions on enrolling or general information, you can visit their website at www.ivytech.edu or call them at 317-921-4300. Community Health Network is Central Indiana's leader in providing health care services where and when patients need them. With any questions, you can contact Community Health at 317-355-7775 or check out their website at www.ecommunity.com. Church Hill Atrium. Attorneys at law. From personal injury claims to complex business litigations to divorce cases, Church Hill and Atrium protects the rights of individuals, businesses, schools, and government bodies all around Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Maryville, and Tipton. You can contact their Noblesville office at 317-773-5320 or simply visit their website at www.cchalaw.com. So it looks like we're going to start off.
You weren't kidding. You could cut through those things like nobody's business.
I am not. I still got a whole stack here.
You're like a surfer, man. You're just killing waves.
Well, I got wiped out a couple times on a few slurs.
I don't think so. It sounded golden to me, but
Thank you.
I don't do this a lot. So
I always look forward to this one time out of the year where I get the opportunity to do this. This is kind of like a thing I like to do.
Kids coming back on May 6th for me?
We just got offered May 6th.
Yeah.
I'll have my agent contact yours.
Happy Stephanie.
She's the universal agent.
So we're
Agent
back in play.
99.
No, you know what? In all seriousness, to be able to broadcast high school sports live through social media, through live streaming television, what a great opportunity for these kids. Not just our kids here, but all kids in Hamilton County. It's a great opportunity to get some exposure, tell your family and friends about it. And, you know, I can tell you that to be able to have this opportunity back in my day, it didn't really come around to about sectional time. You get a chance, maybe, depending upon the school you were playing.
That is just not enough for Joe Morris highlights.
Well, where I was born and raised, where I come from, as they say, basketball was king, you know. Hatchet House, Washington Hatchets, you had all those great teams in the 70s and 80s. But you know a little bit about that. You get into the tournament in Indiana in basketball, you were on TV somewhere. Football wasn't quite the same back then. Today it's a whole different game. You know.
I don't even get me started on high school basketball in the state of Indiana. They took a treasure and threw it away.
Yes, there are many that believe that. There are many.
And I am one.
Well, you know, when you look at football in the state of Indiana, has really come along, and they give a lot of credit to the Colts organization, the success of the Colts. And then you look at the rest of the sports. I mean, geez, I get excited talking about Hamilton County as a whole. Look how many strong programs you have across the board in men's and women's sports. I mean, it's amazing. But I will say, arguably, you know, in women's sports at Noblesville, the cross country and track teams had a lot of success. Soccer's had success. Of course, you know, basketball's had their years. But lacrosse, you know, softball's been good, track's been good. But lacrosse, talk about the sleeping giant that came alive in the last couple of years. A lot of people talk about it in the community. I think that's why you've got the numbers at the youth level that you got now.
It's been fun to be part of. The families have just been so awesome. The kids even more so. They're a reflection of the families. And I tell you that, you know, again, we've been given great facilities to work with, and every year it gets better, and the kids just keep coming out and keep working hard, and it's so much fun. I stayed out of it last year. I didn't coach, you know, first time in 11 years I didn't coach, and I missed it.
Look at that screen, Kylie said. Can you do that?
Yeah, you know what? There is no such thing as a moving pick in girls lacrosse. So, you know, Kylie, I could see her basketball skills because she stopped and made a good pick.